does love it. Right. So Dodson coming off Nathaniel Wood, and before that he lost to Petr Yan by decision and Jimmy Rivera. So there's no problem there really to me. If he's unmotivated and losing to the guy that's now the champion, and Jimmy Rivera, I think going into that was undefeated still back then.
And he beat Faber, so who was a previous champion. So
yeah, exactly. So he already showed his credentials off before Faber
right.
kind of did his old man retirement thing. Because Lloyd does not rate Petr Yan at all. My point, because he says, who has he actually beaten? And I said, Jose, just beat Jose. And he goes, yeah, but Jose's not that. He doesn't. Lloyd started watching MMA. Okay, he's never seen Dan fight. He only knows Dan as an analyst.
Okay.
He's 2014 onwards. He's Conor McGregor era.
That Conor, okay. So before that, the split that I see was, the split that came in before that was Ronda, and then before that was Brock. So you get your, I've been watching this since 93 when you could wear shoes and it was a proper fight. Yeah. That's someone's opinion. Then you get the opinion of, oh my God, Brock Lesnar is an animal, which I fucking always hated Brock. Then you get the Ronda fan side of things where you just kind of want to see her get beat, which was unfortunate, but that's what came in. And then it went to the Conor side of things, which again was a split between, can't wait to see this guy get iced. And that's what kind of kills me. Like when you say with Jose, when people, I still have Jose at the top of my pound for pound number one. He's not necessarily
all weight classes or just really? Okay.
Dude, he's watched WEC, right? So WEC, when it wasn't even that well publicized, he was the king. He destroyed Faber.
Understatement. And Faber's leg.
Dude, he carried back to the corner. But Matt Brown he destroyed. Faber he destroyed. Yeah. And then it came into the UFC. I mean, Cub Swanson, that knee knockout of Cub Swanson in WEC is one of the most insane things you've ever seen. Yeah. For him to then come into the UFC, get his belt again.
Yeah.
Because look at someone like Pettis.
4 years, was it?
Exactly. Yeah. But like, Pettis came over and lost to Clay Guida.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big deal, but he just come off the Showtime kick, came in, didn't want to wait, and then ended up fighting Guida and got beat. Which that's fine. That sort of things happen because you're at the top end of this game. But Jose didn't. Jose dropped in and continued to smash everyone to pieces. And it was only the mental game of Conor, which is, it kind of frustrates me because I'd love to see a match. I'd love to see that match again back in that time when Jose was where he was and Conor was where he was. And I was not taking anything away from Conor's knockout, but it was just devastating because
I went into that as an Aldo fan. I think most people, if you're from, so I'm not. You've been watching UFC. I know longer than I have. But my stepdad and my mum got married UFC 79 Nemesis.
Okay.
Liddell, Silva, GSP, Hughes 3. Yeah. So they've got like Evan Tanner's on all that sort of. Yeah. So that's my first thing. That's me. So I'm 2006, 5, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I think I went to UFC 70. Was that 2004, 2005?
So similar time. Yeah. Yeah, because they were a bit more spread out back then. They didn't have a fight night every single fucking week. They could try to keep up. So
literally, you had to look forward to it. Whereas now I've got to catch up. Yeah,
exactly. I got Contender Series to watch after this, so just constant. But so Lloyd doesn't rate Petr Yan because he's beaten Aldo and he thinks Aldo's past it. I still said Aldo was winning that fight until that round. And
second with them body shots.
Oh mate, it's just. I don't see why people don't rate Aldo anymore. And other than that, I can understand who is he beating. I can get that. He beat Faber. Faber's 41 years old and he's not really, his heart's not in it. He's not going for a title. He just fancies a knock. He was a bit bored probably.
Yeah.
And he's training with all these people So I can understand why he doesn't, but you just got to watch him fight. And he's boring. He's got no personality. So he won the belt. He was like, I am happy. Like Robocop. I can get it, but
that's what sells though, isn't it? It's the charisma. It's like when you watch, even watching Holland at the weekend, I want to see more of that guy. Just because he's chatting mad shit during the fight. He was cool with it. He was humble. He was nice. But the problem, I want to see more. It's like with Suga Sean. He's got mental hair. He smokes weed proper. And he's just a mental dude, which he backs it up. But it's the charisma. And that charisma, you just like, there's some element, and me and Dan spoke about this a few times, because if you meet Dan, there's a difference between the Outlaw and Dan.
Oh, sure,
and then there's a difference between the outlaw Dan and analyst Dan. There's a big sway, and it's not like any of them are fake. They're all genuine, but you get certain people like Henry Cejudo that just completely doesn't get it. And he's like, he goes on Amazon and finds the cringiest book to be a cringe monster. And instead of spending like a good 10 quid on a book, he goes to get the free first 2 pages from an audio book. And he's like, if that's possible to do a 2-page audio book, but he's like, he'll get the first little bit and go, oh yeah, I'll get it from there. And it's like, he's the worst. There's no character. It's just shit. Same as Colby's kind of shit. Like you see him in real life, and he's
he's the nicest fella.
Genuine dude.
Yeah.
Completely genuine dude. And I kind of get his character a bit.
Yeah. But he was about to get cut. It was the story, wasn't it? So he kind of had to just do something so drastic.
Yeah, but even when you didn't get cut, then it can be turned into something like you can still be an arsehole. You can still be but just be better. Do you know what I mean? And so I think with someone like Peter Yan, this isn't necessarily the same as it is for a lot of these guys. This is his career, his life. It's a lot more structured. It's a lot more, this is how we win, this is what we do. And I think when you see that kind of focus in someone, even like Habib, Peter Yan, there's these guys that have come from different parts of the world that we're not used to seeing on a local, well, not in local, on like a Hollywood setting as the UFC. So they've not needed or they've not wanted to play into that game because it's always been about martial arts, about respect.
Yeah.
And ultimately they earn that, but you don't get a lot of build up and you don't get a lot of shit between. And I think sometimes that's what you need. You need that little bit of needle. Do you know? And that's why people stick in your brain. And someone like Peter Yan, it's almost like he's like, you don't think I'm good? I'll show you I'm good.
Yeah, he's all about I'll show you in the fight, nothing else. Like I love him. I love watching his style personally. He's a proper martial artist again. You need some of those with all the WWE actors in the UFC right now. So not saying they can't fight, but like Colby, he's awesome. I love watching him fight. But I don't dislike his thing either because I'm not American. I don't get all the hate towards it. Obviously, if it was my own country as insulting, I'd be a bit more like, hey, because we're British, it doesn't really matter. So I kind of like it when he started insulting Brazil. I was like, made me go, whew, but I was like, I get why he's doing it. It's not a problem, but I don't see someone like Yan doing it.
He kind of took lead from Chael Sonnen, and Chael Sonnen was already on that cheesy, or like it was good. Don't get me wrong. That was one of the first times when someone took like smack talk to another level and took it on the road. Do you know what I mean? He really landed on my map. Because again, Chael Sonnen was boring as fuck. Still is kind of. But his smack talk with Anderson Silva and then to go 4.5 rounds with him was insane. But that's what you remember. And I think like with Peter Yan, he's just too good. He is that good that he's not really been tested too much. He's not really been wobbled. And the difference is if you can have someone like Peter Yan and then you've got someone like Henry Cejudo. 95% of people are going to get behind Peter Yan because you just want to see someone knock him off his perch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that it kind of doesn't matter about your charisma then because you're everyone's hero because you're doing everyone a favour and shutting this little guy up.
I said to him as well, like he gets really excited by talking about Lloyd again. He gets excited by Aljamain Sterling. So obviously they're going to be matched up next. But I said, who has he really beaten? I know he beat Sandhagen. Which is but it's not a name really like that people really know. If you said to a general fan, Corey Sand, they'll go, who? It's not. Yeah. It's that he's only maybe beaten one insanely high ranked person.
Yeah.
So they're on the even playing field. So yeah, that was my point to him. Like you need to watch him. He's not shit. Yeah. He's not overrated. He didn't get lucky.
No, he's good. But I mean,
so good.
Like Alfred kind of drops off my radar. He kind of drops off my radar a bit because isn't he a Sarah Longo guy?
Sterling.
Aljo.
Yeah.
So because they've got and my memory of their camp is kind of warped because I still have Weidman as up there, and obviously after the weekend we know he's not. But I mean, I know that I've always liked the Longo Sarah corner, and they've always had a real good talent stable. So because a number of their talent have been champions and stuff, it kind of overshadows a few of their other ones. It's always good to see him in the corner. It's always good to hear him shout. But I love watching Aljo, but he's almost one of them that crops up on a card. I'm like, fuck, yes.
Yeah.
I feel like Mike Perry. Mike Perry doesn't necessarily drop off my radar, but if I forget that he's on the card and I'm like 2 fights in and I see the next one up is Perry or Aljo, I'm like, yo.
It's like bonus fight, isn't it? It's like, woohoo.
Yeah, it's going to be a banger. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know it's going to be good. That's one of my reasons for my pick on this fight as well. Based on his last 4 fights, he's on a 4-fight win streak, Merab. They're all decisions. He doesn't finish anybody, but he's got very good grappling. Hence, on the Serra level, he's more towards Serra than Longo with the boxing.
Yeah.
I don't think he's even going to attempt to strike with Dodson, based on the speed of Dodson. But it's really hard for me because I've never seen anyone hold Dodson down.
No, not really.
He's like a chihuahua covered in grease. You can't grab him.
Yeah.
So
he's that next level of grappler, though, isn't he? He's not just I do grappling.
Yeah. And that's why I'm kind of favouring towards him because I don't see him. I think he's going to be smart. He's ranked 15, so he's trying to break into the top 10. Dodson is on his way out. He's not at the peak anymore. He's that side of the peak, isn't he? So.
I don't think he's a million miles away from... if he strings a few together, I mean, if Nathaniel Wood would have beaten him, people would have been talking about a title shot. Because...
What, for Wood?
Yeah, and not even like the next fight, but it would have put him into that little mix. Because the narrative that you can sell from that is look at Nathaniel Wood, where he's come from, what he's done. He's finished all his opponents, and then he's come along, taken on an Ultimate Fighter champion, and basically steals the scalp of Dillashaw because he beat Dillashaw and all the rest of it. So he kind of takes a little bit of Dodson's MMA soul and then him, and then he's that character. Do you know what I mean? So the thing for me is Dodson is so dangerous. But when Merab, if he can nullify that and sort of, we've seen Dodson frustrated in the past, and it's either because he can't get off what he wants to get off or he's being restrained to a degree. I think it's either going to be something flash and spectacular like he was against Nathaniel, or he's just going to be bow humped into 3 rounds of frustration and he's going to sit and fair enough.
I think that's it.
His head's out, I suppose.
I think that's it. Merab just has to make it boring.
Yeah, completely.
Path to victory, bore him, frustrate him, and then get your hands on him. Against a clinch against the fence. That's all it's like.
Exactly.
That's all it's going to be. Dodson won't be able to get any distance or get his speed going. So.
Yeah. Precisely. Well, I'd love to see Dodson get the W because...
So would I. I love him. He's great, isn't he?
I think my problem is I always go head and heart. Like, there's a common sense angle to look at who's going to win a fight. And I'm pretty much normally along that line and I can get that right. But I don't ever drop into it as far as putting my picks in on anything. I normally just go what I want.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like when Aldo fought Jan, I wanted Aldo to win because I just can't bet against him and he's always been number 1. So common sense says, look at his past few fights, look at him not using leg kicks, doing all this and that. And then the obvious winner would have been Jan, but I can't do that to myself. I can't I want someone to win and bet against him just for a statistic because it's stupid.
I agree with you there. I think I broke my record as well. The first time every time I bet against Aldo, he wins. And then I bet against him this time and he didn't win. It's like that 8 in a row, like 8 different time. I always thought the first time he fought Mendes, I was like, I think Mendes has him in.
Yeah.
Just like that guy. Oh, it's just never worked. He's my bogey fighter, but I love him. Yeah, I love Jose. Conor fanboys make the reason people don't like Jose now, annoyingly.
That's the problem. Yeah, that's a big problem.
Oh well. Right, the next fight is the one I'm not the. Okay, I've got to call myself for this one because Jairzinho, Rozenstruik. You watched Dan do the breakdowns, I'm assuming as well, or do you not watch his video? Yeah, you watch his stuff.
I watch as many as I can because I've been there when some of them have been recorded. I have to sit very quietly in a corner. I can't make eye contact with Dan. Honestly, there's times when I've even answered something or he's going, and I'll say, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. So I'm not often there when he's recording.
I love that.
So I try and get on the channel as often as I can, but because I work in the evenings, it's that I'm often doing design work and stuff. I can pick up a few bits then, but it's kind of tricky to keep up with everything. Just because after this, I'm going to fly straight to the office. I've got a boot full of stuff that needs folding, tagging, bagging, putting together with orders and dispatching. Then I'm going to have to go and I've got a delivery to make and a piece of design work to do, which is urgent. And I have to chase someone's parcel from Australia that went missing. So like, it's kind of like this all the time. So I have to sit. Yeah, I need audio versions. We have spoke about putting the war rooms out as like an audio podcast.
It's hard to see, isn't it? Because he uses the telly. He shows you. But
I think a lot of the stuff you would fill in a lot of the blanks. Like the fact that you can take the audio and drop it in a fan like yourself, you pretty much know what he's talking about. Because
I guess casuals aren't going to be listening to it, are they? It'd be
so it's easy. So like the fact that I can then have it all is nice.
Yeah,
like, I haven't seen this one. It just scares me a bit with JDS. Just worries me.
Always the thing. Happy JDS. He's out of the Brazilian heavyweights. I was a junior fan, not a Verdum fan.
Massively.
So I got a few friends that like Verdum. I can't stand him personally, but I love JDS since he knocked out Verdum on his debut.
Yes.
God knows how long ago when he had hair. So he's lost to Blades last time out, and Ngannou by knockout. So that's why I'm a bit scared for him.
That's what concerns me, because once that button starts getting bigger, it's almost like Weidman at the weekend. I was just waiting for that thing to land, and just because he sort of starts out looking good, and then by the end of it, he's just like hands are down to the point where I'm tired. And like,
he had 6 minutes in him. That's it.
Yeah.
They both were fucked after 6 minutes. They were naked.
Luckily, they were both fucked, because if the other guy wasn't as tired as Weidman, we'd have seen another just brutal knockout. Because even some of them, I mean, they're like coming the second and third rounds, but they're always like a shotgun walk off. He's just done. Same as like when Chuck went from losing to Rashad. He went from having a granite chin and an amazing takedown defense. To Rampage initially, then Rashad. And by the end of it, he just didn't want... I mean, he headbutted Rich Franklin's arm to knock himself out, Chuck did.
Yeah.
He literally headbutted his arm. And that's when you know it's done. And there's someone like JDS, who was incredible, came in, like you say, had flash knockouts, then won the heavyweight title, and obviously... looked good doing it. I know he didn't have it for long, but I met the guy. I met him in London, and he's just the nicest guy.
Yes, that makes me happy. He is the nicest guy. It's not all an actors. Yeah. I
mean, even Verdum. I've not met Verdum, but when I was in London, I was sat watching the. It was when Verdum was against. Was it Volkov?
Yeah. Yes.
So that's the canvases on Dan's wall. That's the London event we were at last.
Yeah. That's it.
And basically, the last one I was at, I was sat there because I had a secret full Reptile shirt on that we hadn't gone live yet. I was still working my other job. So I sat there, and there was this drunk guy next to me who was next level fucking wasted. And I sat with my with an envelope in my hand just because I was sat on my own. Dan had got me a ticket. I was doing an event in London anyway. He said, I'll get you a ticket. We'll see you there Saturday. I was like, fucking nice one. So I literally gets there, gets handed this envelope that said Dan Hardy on it. And it was my ticket. So I was just holding this thing. You know what it's like when you're on your own, you've got no one to talk to. I was just sort of sat watching, and he just grabbed this envelope, pulled it out of my hand, and went, why have you got that? Why does that say Dan Hardy? And I was like, it's my ticket. Well, no, it's not your ticket. It says Dan. And just got into this whole thing. But he was like aggro drunk. And nice enough dude, but obviously having a wicked time. And then when I told him about who I was working with and what I was doing, he just became my best friend for the evening. And eventually, there was another guy that came up the stairs and turned to him and was like, yo, you're in my seat. To which he had an envelope in his hand that said Verdum. So obviously, wherever we were sat, it was probably like the gifted seats to some of the athletes that these are the ones that are left.
Oh shit!
And so this guy instantly saw that and was like, "Do you know Fabrizio?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm his brother-in-law." And he again was the nicest guy, and we got talking, and we had a wicked night. But unfortunately, because obviously I've never been a massive fan of Verdum. I respect him. I've enjoyed watching him, but it he always came across as a bit of a tail. So I had to go from thinking that to then getting on with his brother-in-law and being like, "You're the fucking man. All right, we're Team Verdum now, all in."
Yeah. You can't root against him. He gets knocked out. You're like, yeah. Next time.
And it was like, he literally said,
hiding your betting slip. Yeah.
Shook my hand and was like, "Nice to meet you." And I was like, "Take care, Jerry." His name was Jerry. And he was like, "Nice to meet you." And I was like, "Yeah, take care, bro." And off he went. And I've never seen him, or I think he texted me a couple of times. We messaged each other, but yeah, since then I've sort of. I always think of that when I was hanging out with his brother-in-law, and I think I can't really root against him, poor dude. But this is where the knockout thing just comes in, and it scares me, man. It just, because the thing is, JDS, there's only so many times that you can have reports where he looks solid. Oh man, he looks gold in the back. He looks solid. He's got a moustache this time. Looks like fucking Bronson. Do you know what I mean? He's from like.
He does. That's good actually. Yeah, he does.
But I mean,
Rozenstruik's only lost once, and it's to Ngannou in 20 seconds. So I don't know how. I mean, it looked like he'd been hit by a car by the world's worst boxer, but it only takes one lunchbox in the face to be shut off by that fella. The
problem with that though is that was his last fight.
Yeah, and that's why I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's going to be a little hesitant.
It evens it out a bit. It evens it out a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, they've both just been smashed around the chops. I think Rozenstruik's had it worse off, to be honest. If you're getting hit by someone, the one person you don't want to be hit by is Ngannou. Or maybe it is because it's so quick.
I mean, when you look at JDS, I mean, if you were Rozenstruik, your whole camp is telling you, yeah, you've been stopped once by a savage. It can happen to anyone. But when you look at his record against people like Orlovsky and stuff like that, he makes it look easy. So it's an easy narrative to sell.
He barely touched him, didn't he? Barely touched Orlovsky, and he just face planted.
Yeah, I had to rewind about 8 times.
Yeah.
But he's just been down this track quite a few times. And it's almost like Overeem. You know, when Overeem gets a win and then he's talking about having a title shot and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I just need you, JDS, and a few others in the Veterans League. Like when Kane came back. Kane, for me, was the greatest heavyweight ever. After he dethroned Brock, smashed everyone on. He just looked insane.
Smashed Brock, yeah.
Yeah, which was perfect. That's all I needed. I just needed someone to prove that you don't just have to be big. When he fought Randy, it was like getting a frigging, I don't know, Action Man figure and holding a G.I. Joe figure and being like, yeah, they're the same. That's not the same. Randy was tiny.
Yeah.
So there's got to be almost a Veterans League that they can go into with a bit of headgear and some, like, I don't know, heavier, bigger padded gloves. But I don't like seeing JDS get hurt, and I'm kind of thinking that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think he's gonna bring in the approach he had to Ngannou, which was start with the leg kicks, slide him down forward, because he looked good for the first minute against Ngannou, and then the next 20 seconds not so good. But it only takes one clip, and I'm thinking, does Jairzinho have the same kind of knockout ratio power as Ngannou? I think he's like one block under him. He's like the next level down. He's still insane.
When JDS's chin is at the point it's at, though, that's already at that.
That's the forfeit, isn't it? And he's not going to. JDS always credits himself as the best boxer in the heavyweight division. So I'm thinking, is he going to? I've never seen him really use takedowns, even though I know he's got them. He's got a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I've never seen him use it. He just boxes.
Yeah, his boxing's good, but the problem is it comes down to when someone starts stating that you're the best in the game.
Yeah, and you believe it.
Yeah, exactly. You don't necessarily you might not try as hard, and you might not. It comes to a lot of things like, you're only ever going to be the best for that point if you settle. So even down to design work. I mean, I know people and I've seen their work, and it's just next level, incredible stuff, and then they sort of drop off into this. Oh, it's just what I do now, and they just start turning out stuff that you think, you didn't do this, did you? And they're like, well, yeah, I'm not really that interested, because that's a goal and you've achieved a goal. Like, to be the best at that, you've achieved the goal, but you have to carry on and you always have to keep getting better. So to say JDS has the best boxer in the game, I think was true at one point.
Yeah.
And that was when he was hungry, coming from Brazil, flying over. And this was all pre-box. If you watch any of the highlights of his greatest boxing in the game, he'll be in a pair of, I don't know, Muscle Farm shorts or something like that. He's not wearing Reebok. So
yeah,
that's a fucking long time ago, man. That was
pre-Reebok. What's that? Was 5-6 years? Reebok been in?
Yeah.
So yeah, a long time ago. Yeah. So for me, I think upcoming 80 kickboxing fights for Jairzinho as well. He's going to strike, nothing else. I think it's only going to take a few touches to his chin.
Yeah,
he's precise as fuck anyway, Jairzinho.
That's the problem, and he's precise. He's fast. He's got the experience. He has been knocked
He's fast. Yeah, forgot about. He is fast for a heavyweight as well. He's the faster than Ngannou. He's just not as powerful, but he's still fucking powerful. It's so hard to determine power when it's at that level.
Yeah, I just don't know, man. I think
part of me bus or a truck. That's the difference, isn't it? A Volvo or a Prius. They're both cars.
Yeah, it's still going to work.
Yeah, exactly.
Still gonna compete. I don't know who are you picking on that one.
Jairzinho, I think it's Jairzinho's time. I think Dos Santos's chin is going to melt, and he's ranked 5 in the world though, which makes me think, okay, after coming off 2 losses, he's still ranked 5 because he beat Derek Lewis, but that was when Derek Lewis's back was fucked. Yeah, and he was overweight. He said he was eating chicken every day, and he's still that dangerous. So I do think Jairzinho's going to have his number. He's going to approach it smart, and he's hungry. He's into his career now.
The rankings are.
Is it journalists do the rankings, isn't it?
I think it was because it went to ESPN. I think back in the day they were like, or was it? It was either BT Sports, Santos, or ESPN, or someone like that are used to having tables that were like, oh, we need to give them a number. Yeah. And the problem is, kind of doesn't mean fuck all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even Weidman at the weekend came in, and because he was returning to middleweight, he didn't have a number.
Yeah.
And no one needs a number. Like it's one of them where you could get, I don't know, you could get a different heavyweight to drop in against Stipe or Cormier, and it would still be a barn burner. But it doesn't matter that they're a 15 or a 12 or whatever. It's a fight.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's a fucking fight, and that's why I always loved MMA, because you get the hype and you get the aggro from like a wrestling scene, so you get a bit of a storyline, a bit of a narrative. But when it comes down to it, they're going to actually fight, and you're going to see who's going to win. And that's why I always find it hard when you look at rankings and you think, you know what this guy's done? It's like, yeah, well, technically he lost this and this. It's like, and what the fuck? Like,
MMA math does not work. The famous saying ever work.
No. And even if you get caught up in that as a fighter, you'll see people go in and they'll overlook someone. They'll just completely disregard him. Like, even if Rozenstruik is looking at JDS thinking, he's finished, man. What's to say that he doesn't come out and he's absolutely motivated and he fucking destroys him with one of them spinning heel kicks? I mean, JDS has got kicks, man.
Yeah, Mark Hunt, yeah.
Dude.
Hit him with his calf. Yeah.
Touched him that much. And that's Mark Hunt, who is made of absolute solid alien granite.
Yeah. Alien granite.
Yeah, not just granite.
Yeah.
Which is granite.
Unknown it's just substance, yeah.
Yeah.
It's true, though. It is true.
Sorry, dude. I'm literally...
No.
I've just got stuff. I'm trying to look at my fight card, and then I've just got emails from people about stuff. It's someone's birthday. Can I do this? It's like, of course I can. Looks like I'm getting a birthday card for someone to be signed.
Oh, okay.
Which is nice. Why not?
It's a good problem to have, isn't it? All this stuff. That's it.
Yeah. No one ever needs me to sign anything. I'm good at Dan's signature, but all the ones that
yeah. Oh, mate, the amount of people that would freak. What do you mean?
No.
If it's in the Midlands and get you.
That's it. Well, just drive down, man. Drive down, because I'll turn it into a positive. You'll leave with something happy. It's all right. Come on.
Oh, I think the next one is everyone I know that watches MMA, or not necessarily diehards, but people that see the media are more impressed about the co-main now than the main.
Yeah.
Because the main is almost a retire. I made a video on the YouTube channel about, and for some reason I made this video 3 weeks about Stipe and Daniel, which is do both guys retire after this fight?
Yeah.
Not that many views. Someone else makes it 500,000.
Is it fine up there?
Yeah, exactly. So all about the audience. I think both fellas are going to retire in that. But first, O'Malley and Vera. I'm a massive Vera fan after he head kicked Brad and made me cry. I jumped on his bandwagon when Brad put his trilby in the middle, and I was upset. I was like, okay, Vera was so respectful of him. I'm on Team Vera now. Like, he just passed the torch to him for me, and from then I was always watching his career and how aggressive he was.
He was respectful, but he is kind of straight gangster.
Yeah,
like he's one of the. I've got dodgy mates, and I mean like mad dodgy mates.
Full stop.
Yeah, I'm not naming any names, and I've been in their company. We've had family picnics, barbecues, you name it. Just this straight up like boys in the hood, completely fucking off the rails, but really nice. Like you there's a fine line. You're on the right side and you're on the wrong side, and he just reminds me of them, where if he needs to, he knows where to put a body. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's almost fueled by that. You're the underdog in this, dude. And it's a bit like Masvidal. He's got that absolute raw talent, but he's also put in time and effort and energy. And in that, this isn't a fluke that they're where they're at. And I don't think Suga Sean is a fluke at all, but Sean is sold from his complete persona. Like, he backs it up, he looks incredible, but he knows how to play the narrative. He knows how to sell the story, and he does amazing at it. And every time he comes out, he's no different to Conor McGregor, calling around or saying what he's going to do or just turning people off. And I think we had the first test of this with Eddie Wineland. And Eddie's a machine. He was solid gold, but he has had a lot of fights, and it was an incredible test. With someone like Marlon Vera, it's almost like their last-ditch chance to go, all right, you want top 10? I'll give you this. Because when you see someone like Sage Northcutt come in, and Sage Northcutt had this massive following and a big story and all the rest of it, and he kind of struggled. He did all right. He didn't look too bad.
It was like a couple wins, couple losses, Yeah.
But when you see the Wonder Kid stood there looking like an absolute Adonis, you think this guy's going to have it all, because he's been training since he was, I think he was probably 6 months before he was born, he was training.
In the womb. He had a belt on.
Yeah, he's got a Wing Chun dummy in the womb. And Wing Chun, sorry. And he's literally like, when that comes in and you've invested this much money and this much time into this person, this prodigy, that then 2 years later, Dana's going, yeah, I think Sage needs to call it a day. You're like, oh, fuck. Okay, well, tides can change. Whereas I think with someone like Vera, he's just all about the fight game, and he's got something to prove. And he can take this momentum from O'Malley massively, because genuinely, I think so many people are tuning in just for this fight.
Yeah.
We've got, like, don't get me wrong, everyone wants to see Stipe and Cormier, but holy shit, this is going to be
it should be the co-main. It's like, I'm so happy. People were wondering why it was so high up. Some diehards like, look, why is it this is why.
Give it a minute.
Have a look. You'll understand why. If you don't, it's because Chino Vera, you could easily miss him. He's not got a great, like, a standout name. It's just a generic name almost. Marlon Vera. There's a lot of South American fighters, so he could easily go under your radar if you haven't noticed him, because he hasn't had like a flashy knockout like the Eddie Wineland one. He's TKO'd everybody or submitted, like choked them unconscious. So yeah, I'm with you there. So he's on 5-fight winning streak before he fought Song Yadong. I thought he won that fight. A lot of people did, which would have broken him into the top 10, 6-fight win streak. And I think it was on, the Schmo.
Yeah.
On his podcast, Sean was on it, and he said that they're treating him like he's a rank 5 opponent, because that's what he is. He's, again, rankings don't matter. It's that thing of just because he hasn't got a number next to his name, suddenly he's not dangerous. I don't think Sean has a number on his name.
I'm not sure, but I don't think he does. But I think it's how you see Cheeto go from 5-fight win streak, suspect loss, or like a controversial loss.
Controversial, yeah.
But it just doesn't change direction, because he's essentially. It's like when you have a dog and they're just into a ball. They're just obsessed with the ball. You go, well, there's a roast chicken on the side. They don't care. They just want a tennis ball. And they're just so tunnel vision into that world that I genuinely feel that's where he is. And when he's a bit like a touchy-feely.
Yeah.
Just
that's a good comparison.
Just solid now. And you're going to see him get hit with some stuff. But I think that he's going to be standing in a pocket, and I think he's going to take one to give one. And the fact that Sean O'Malley covers ground and covers distance so well, he's not necessarily been tested.
Windens was meant to be that test, wasn't he? But he got shut off too quick.
Well, he sort of got caught not sleeping, but he didn't seem himself. And because Winan is often fighting against people like, I don't know, Faber, similar height, similar sort of build, similar reach. When he has got that super focused, super energetic, Suga Sean coming out at him, it's a lot different. Because even when you see people sparring and stuff, I mean, back in the day when I used to be at the gym and Roughhouse was sparring, you'd hear someone say, whoa, I'm not ready. And it's like, well, you heard the buzzer. Those kind of people didn't last very long because it didn't matter if they were walking up the stairs into the gym. It didn't matter if they were trying to get in the car or whatever they're doing. They were always fighting. Always. So it's like, it doesn't matter if the buzzer's going off or you're packing your bag, you're still going to get clipped somewhere. Someone's going to fuck with you a little bit. And I think that affects your twitch reaction, your flinch. You just seem to always be on guard. Yeah. With someone like Suga Sean, he seems to he's just dialed in. I don't know if it's the green, I don't know if it's just his lifestyle, but he's completely dialed into that as far as like almost like a national experiment, a bit like Ivan Drago. You know what I mean? They sort of try to see if they're doing it. Whereas Cheeto, he sort of went down a different route, and he went like Rocky IV and just went
grinding,
grinded, And I'm excited to see it because I don't particularly care who wins.
No, that's the thing. I want Vera to win almost because I've put a bet on him because he's a major underdog, and I bet on this like a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
Because O'Malley is a big favourite because of the hype behind him, and I can. My thing was very similar to yours. He's going to take a punch to give one. Sean won't. He's too smart for that. He's going to create the distance. He's going to use his movement, and he's really good at cutting that cage. He bought an Apex, like the 25-foot cage, and he's trained the whole camp in this. So he knows that cage inside out. So he's going to move so well and cut the angles off. He could run in, like he could easily knock out Vera. Vera's been hit a lot, like a lot. He gets hit a lot, but he also gets in your face a lot, and he's going to make it dirty and ugly and almost like. You obviously remember the fight, I'm sure. Diaz v. Daly. He's going to make... Diaz just got in his face so close and just hit him in the body. He was like, hit me in the face, go for it. Like, I had his chin in the air. I'm going to hit your body. This is what I'm doing now. And I feel like Vera's going to do a similar thing. He's just going to get in his face and just say, right, hit me all you want. I'm just going to work on you for a bit.
Yeah.
And you'll fall down before me. I'm tougher than you. That's... Yeah.
And if you can out-top him, the thing is, I've not seen them face off. I've not seen them face to face. I've not seen the difference in height or anything. I'm just.
O'Malley's my height. I think it's like 6 foot. He's a big boy.
Is he?
Yeah, he's tall. He's lanky. He's like an Israel. Yeah.
Give me one sec. That might be my stickers.
Go for it.
This is what we're arguing about. You can see that.
What's that?
It's a gross piece of dog treat that they are arguing about. And now my hand stinks. Jesus. You alright, dude? You okay? Yeah, he's all good.
Unfortunately, my dog doesn't like them sort of stuff. He's super fussy. No. You give him ham and now he won't have anything else. He's like, no, I know there's ham in that fridge. Give me the ham.
Our fridge goes doo-doo-doo every time you open it. And on a Friday night, I sit up and I play PlayStation with my mates. And we have a bit of a cheeky session. Play PlayStation, it's all good. But then I get munchies about 1 o'clock in the morning. And literally, I just try and open the fridge. No matter how quietly you do it, it still sets the alarm off. And then I turn around, I've got 3 dogs sat looking at me going, why don't you have some ham? And some Monster Munch. And maybe a Crunchy. I'm like, all at once? Like, yeah, do it. And we become a dog pack every Friday about 1 o'clock.
Yeah. My dog just lays down. As soon as you get up, he gets up. He's the guy that will follow. Yeah.
Looks like we're eating now.
The loyal protector. Won't stop protecting you, even from the fridge.
Everything in the fridge.
You ever seen that video of the guy that does the voice of his dog? It's a shepherd.
Yeah.
Wants some bacon. Goes, yeah. It's that. Yeah, that's what my dog looks like. That dog. It's beautiful animal.
They are cool.
In teeth, innit? But yeah, so my pick is Vera. Are you going for Vera or O'Malley then? And that.
The thing is,
who do you reckon?
It's going to be that high profile that I hope Vera gets something out of it that gives him that recognition that he deserves. Because the other thing that I love more than anything in MMA is seeing how a fighter reacts to a loss. Like when Anderson Silva lost, I was buzzing just to see how he's going to come back. Because, and it wasn't even that I didn't like Anderson Silva. It was that I just wanted to see where his head went. What's next? Because Matthews famously said when he lost the belt once that he was happy it was gone.
It's a relief, wasn't it? Yeah.
Relief. Same as Rose has said it. A few people have said it. And when Anderson got beat, I was like, okay, now I want to see next level Anderson. Like when GSP lost to Sarah, he came back and he was fucking angry. And those knees to the ribs, they are full schoolyard. Don't ever take my dinner money again knees. So for Sean, I don't think it damages him in any way. I would like to see, if he did lose, to see what he does next because he's still high profile. But then if Cheeto does win, it puts another massive contender in that little pocket.
Yeah.
And we've got these exciting fighters like that, which are just grinders that basically are there to trip people up, like your Bispings and Cowboys, like your gatekeepers.
Yeah.
I'd love to see what he's going to do. So it's head and heart again. I suppose head says Sugar Sean's going to do it, and heart says I'd like to see Cheeto have a...
Same here, yeah.
Have his red panty night.
But that's exactly what... If Vera does lose, I kind of want it... Sonnen made his name, didn't he, for almost beating Anderson.
Yeah.
I want... If he could almost beat Sugar and then go on to this. And, Sean does... I have no doubt he's going to be challenging for a title one day. If not quite soon.
It won't be long either.
Yeah. So if Vera can get something out... Yeah, a win-win. He got a loss. He's lost... what's his record? 15-6-1. So he's lost 6 fights. But they were all a few years ago. Like he's gone on a nice streak.
He's got Frankie Saenz in there, man. Frankie Saenz is good.
He's an old boy now, isn't he? 40, 41.
Yeah,
a fighter, that's quite. He got smashed by Martinez the other week. Absolutely.
Yeah,
dicked on.
When you remember him fighting Faber, he had long hair.
That's it.
And then
like part of the Lost Boys.
Did someone play a trick on you? Or is this just like a COVID? I'm going to shave it. I'm sick of my hair. It's all gone. So, I don't know, man. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. And I think he's another puzzle that I just don't think that Sugar Sean overlooks anything. Yeah, I think people and they know that he's a massive weed advocate and all the rest of it, which is absolutely fine in my eyes. But I think a lot of people discount that. A lot of people discount the creativity that will introduce into someone's flow. That essentially it levels him to his world where he can focus exactly on what he's doing. He's got no outside interference because he medicates to the point where he needs to, which some people think is absolutely stupid. Some people think it's irresponsible and all the rest of it. But
it's working.
There's a way this thing can be effective. It's a super plan. So if he's got that and he's using that, he never ever seems to miss a step. He can come across as arrogant because of his confidence, but unfortunately, if it was a transcribe of what he's saying, and someone read it without the charisma and without the energy, it would just be a factual statement of like, this is going to happen now, that's going to happen, and he's proved it every time.
Yeah, it is very Conor-esque, isn't it?
Yeah, and
Mystic Mac, it's the prediction Sean kind of thing.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it more than the main. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, I am as well. But it does bring us on to the main of the retiree old boys now. 37 and 41, is he? Yeah, Daniel's 41. Yeah. He said he was going to retire at 40. He lied. I mean, gutting. Should have retired off that second.
I'm 40 next year. And I don't know how the...
You're in as good a shape as Daniel. You got that?
You can't hit my shins like that. No, I used to ride motorbikes when he was fighting. So the difference is I was really good on motorbikes. So I can draw pictures and I can ride motorbikes good. But I've never fought. So it's kind of weird. When I used to watch like Randy and Chuck, and people are like, oh my God, Randy's 33 and he's still in it. And you think, oh my God, he's nearly dead. But he soon catches up. And 41, and what's Stipe, 37?
37. He don't look that. Yeah, I thought, but I didn't even think he was that. Like,
I'd have been year 9 at school, he'd have been a year 7.
Yeah, is that the way you look?
Imagine that. Where's the math block over there, dickhead?
I don't want to say what you'd rather been then.
What, when I was year 9? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
wait, how old do you think? I'm going to just say that.
You've been watching it for a while. I'd say, I don't know, 26, 27?
All right, I'll take that. 25, yeah. 95.
25, yeah.
95 I was born, mate. I
think it's because I've put you into that. You've got a bit more of an old school following. You've got a lot more knowledge of it than a 25-year-old. Yeah. Yeah,
most 25-year-olds are from McGregor era.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, I'm Liddell era.
So you remember Stipe before he was a champion, there?
Oh, yeah. I remember him getting smashed by Stefan.
Mate, I was there.
You were there? Oh, when you saw the skyscraper. 6'11 and a half, not 7 foot.
7'1". And
he's fucking ridiculous, isn't he?
I had a week of chaperoning Stefan, Remco, and Bob Schreiber around Nottingham. I got asked to pick him up as a favour. Can you go and pick up Stefan Struve's jiu-jitsu coach tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, can do. So I get to the airport, and obviously it was Remco, who was in UFC 4.
Yeah.
Who is built, I think his profile picture is a bear. And he's built like a fucking bear. But
bloke in a bear suit, yeah.
Honestly, a bloke in a bear suit. He was... And there's everyone around me. There's all the official UFC guys there with clipboards. And I just stood, and he just came up to me. Because I was turning around, and he just whispered over me. He's like, you for me. In his Dutch accent. I was like, oh, are you Remco? He's like, yep. I was like, cool, let's go. Literally gets you in the car, gets all the way back to Knots. And it was in the fighter hotel. And you've got fucking media, fighters. For a fanboy, my brain... Because I'd done all the banners. I'd done all the artwork. So I'd done all the banners for Stefan, for DeMarcus Johnson, for Andy Ogle, for Dan, for...
Oh, bloody... I always thought you just did it for Dan. So you did it for so many.
Yeah, Stefan, Dan, Jimmy Manoa, Andy Ogle, DeMarcus Johnson. Obviously, that's walkout shorts, weigh-in shorts, shirts, banners.
Yeah. People that don't know what banners are as well. It's the banners you drape over the octagon.
Yeah, so it's all the sponsors.
Yeah.
So
people don't know post Reebok.
Mate, well, that's it. So I've got all these guys in there, and it was just losing my shit. Because obviously I knew Dan a bit, but he was still living in America. So
in Vegas, yeah.
So I was working out of the gym, and obviously it was Fourth Dimension in Knots, who Dan and Wayne are really close. So he literally came in, got all the stuff, and everything was cool. So I went to Knots, and literally dropped him off, and there was Stefan. Bob Schreiber is Stefan Struve's coach, who's known as Dirty Bob. He actually fought Vanderlei. He's a fucking savage. You'll have seen him on, when karma goes wrong and you'll see someone in the ring and he goes to touch gloves with, I think, is it Gilbert Ivel? Someone. He goes to touch gloves and shakes his head. He doesn't touch his gloves, so Bob just shakes his head and then leathers the shit out of him. You'll have seen. But he, again, is one of the nicest dudes in the game. And so I dropped Stefan Remkoff. I'm like, take it easy, good luck, be good, all the rest of it. And they're like, and he just grabbed me. And like, we're eating, you're eating. And so it took me into the hospitality suite. I wasn't meant to be there. So next minute, I'm stood next to Joe Silver, who was about 2.5 foot tall. And there was a British MMA journalist next to me who's a fucking weirdo. And then I've got Remco and Stefan either side, and we're just getting our food. So we sit and eat. And it was the whole week then. They were like, are you coming back tomorrow? I was like, yeah, you can. And they're like, can you take us to where Robin Hood was? And I was like, of course I will. So literally we just drove.
Dump him in the forest.
Yeah. Where was the Batman house in the film? And I was like, okay, I'll take you to Woollerton. So we just went everywhere. But
go to the ice rink, all that stuff, yeah.
Mate, yeah, it was insane. But one of the strangest things was when you sort of relax into this environment, these are now your friends. And we stood at the crossing in Nottingham waiting to cross the road. And they're constantly fucking with each other. Like Stefan took his shoes off, Remco tied them together. Bob would move his phone or steal something. Like they just, honestly, it was amazing. Other, yeah. So I was stood at the crossing, and I'm stood there, proud as fuck, dead chuffed, like made it. And I'm struggling in work life, but loving this week. So it just, everything was good. Remco literally sinks in a rear naked choke behind me, picks me up with one arm and carries me across the crossing. I could have been unconscious for half of it, but he just was like, he just picked me up, carried me and dropped me down, and then sort of hit me on the back and just laughed and walked off. So, thanks, mate. Thanks, mate. Yeah, so that's how I remember Stipe. I remember Stipe getting boxed to pieces.
Yeah.
And getting nailed. So I always struggled with the fact that he was the champ when I knew that Stefan had beaten, but that's because MMA maths and friends.
Who would win now, Stefan or Stipe? Is that kind of Stipe, in my opinion, would smash them to bits. So
and that's
when Mark Hunt can jump up on his ladder and break his jaw. You know, there's that leaping MMA maths. What's he got a record of? 12-13 now. Is so it just doesn't make sense.
Ever, and I suppose that's with my Stipe thing. But then when I see him focus, because it was after the Stefan's loss that he just absolutely put everything together.
Yeah,
and. I don't know.
Yeah, that win streak of Roy Nelson was on it at the time when Roy was
killing
good.
People.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, was it after he fought Frank Mir, didn't he, Roy? Dan was in his corner for that somehow.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know why. He was mates with Frank. Wasn't he? Yeah, weren't he mates with? He trained with Frank Mir.
Dan and Frank are way back.
Then he went against him.
Well,
in the corner of Roy.
That was when he. Yeah, I think that the thing is the Frank thing's still good. Roy thing's not so good. we saw Frank. Frank Mir is enormous.
Yeah,
he is.
I met Frank. He's my favourite fighter other than Dan.
Frank ridiculous Mir. And one of the nicest guys. Like, he was at High Rollers. So the day after the Vegas last year's International Fight Week, when we were there for the fight, we went to High Rollers, which was incredible. And Frank was there. Frank Mir and Richard Hunter, that do their podcast together.
Yeah,
Is it Phone Booth Fighting? Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Frank he's honestly, it was like someone had put a piano behind him and put it up his shirt. He was just absolutely fucking massive. But yeah, nice dude.
I love Frank.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a long time ago, wasn't it? Because Roy Nelson, you don't even hear of him now, really. Even Bellator-wise, you're not really hearing a great deal.
He went to Bellator and lost, didn't he? And then kind of just was like, I think I'm done. I think he's still got his rat tail, though. Belly button Fluff in the octagon. There's a video, I can't remember which fight it was. He goes into the corner and he picks Fluff at his belly button. And I was like, oh, come on, man. And Joe Rogan said if he lost some weight, he'd be a fucking lightweight. He was only 6 foot, 5'11". He wasn't big. He's shorter than me, maybe. I'm 6 foot.
But even in season 9, when you see Kimbo coming in, you're like, this is going to be a banger. And he just sort of lies on him and nullifies. And his jiu-jitsu's next level, man.
He just hits him in the forehead, doesn't he? For a minute. And Dana was like, you're so boring.
He didn't want him to win at all, did he? And then you see Shaw climbing the ladder.
He wanted Brendan to win, even though he doesn't like Brendan either.
Yeah, I think he liked him at the time, didn't he? And that was when Brendan was apparently the highest paid fighter in the world ever.
Really?
Yeah, that was a statement out of Brendan, but yeah, we hear a lot of crazy stuff come out of his mouth.
Oh mate, when he knocked out Crocop, I was shocked.
Yeah.
And there's a quick thing. There's a story Brendan says where he saw Crocop's pay package backstage because he got given the wrong envelope or something thing, and he opened it and was like, it's triple what he was being paid. Just for show, and he was just screwing it down because he won as well, and Crocop earned triple the amount for losing. So he was furious.
It was after Stefan, after Shaw was saying that he was at the highest paid, because one of the reasons he left was his likeness in the game, and the other was the Reebok deal.
Yeah,
so
no sponsors,
as they said. What's it? And basically, his management team was one of the team that I worked with to do a lot of the banners, and obviously. There was times when they'd reach out and say, do you know anyone that could sponsor someone? And sponsorships, there was a time when you had to pay something like 25 grand to be considered as a sponsor. So it wasn't just you'd give the fighter 1,500 quid or $2 grand a fire and whatever it was. You had to pay to be on the book of approved sponsors.
Is this in the UFC?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Just
So, I mean, I think I got my old company on 2. I managed to sneak them on, which they shouldn't have been on there. If you look at Stefan fighting Mark Hunt in Tokyo, that got through in the bottom right-hand corner. But that was another funny story. I sent out Stefan's shorts and his banner to him in Tokyo. It was Tokyo, wasn't it? Yeah, the Super Arena.
I'm not going to lie, I can't remember that one.
I sent it out to him.
The location.
Because Mark Hunt had such a big following in Japan, they found out what it was and held it at customs and wouldn't give it him for his fight.
Oh,
so he didn't have any fight shorts or any banner. So we had to send another one out. And the thing is, when you used to print the banners, it used to take like overnight to dry because it's all ink.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So I had to get that made. I had to make the short. Wayne made the shorts, or 2 pairs of shorts, and then we sent it out again. Luckily, we got it, and that was one of the times that I got on there. But yeah, it was when Brendan was saying that he was paid. I can't remember what it was. It was like a narrative back in the day, and he was saying how much he was getting paid, and he was like the most
through sponsorship, I imagine, not through the UFC.
Yeah, and then I looked and I was like, well, no, I know how much they pay and them. Yeah, probably clearing $7,000 maybe, but that's not up to me. It's not up to me to call him a liar. I think he was kind of frustrated, but he was ready to be out of it.
Yeah,
doing pretty good now, man. Doing very well.
Yeah. Have you seen the videos of him and Rogan? Where he'll be like, oh yeah, I think he's going to lose. And Rogan will be like, no way, man, he's really good. He goes, 100%, 100%. As soon as Rogan says something, he changes his mind and agrees. There's a full compilation of 20 minutes of it on one episode.
It's when like Joel say, oh, he's the worst. And he'll go, the worstest.
Yeah. It's so true.
But this guy is the best.
True.
The bestest. It's like, dude, you can't. Everyone had one of them at school. Everyone had one of them guys that come, what's your favourite colour? And you'd be like, blue. What's yours? Or they'd say, oh, my favourite colour is like blue. What's yours? You go, yeah, green. They go, actually, yeah, I like green.
Yeah. Wiping the brown off his face. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it happens a lot, man. Happens a lot. So this is where I was going to go on to Cormier for saying about the Roy Nelson thing, where Roy Nelson's attempt to just drop into that, like, I'm cool. I'm all right now. I'm done. I got to where I want to get to. I'm kind of happy. And I only saw a very brief clip of the interview with him on last week's card. And he was giving it some, I wasn't really focused last time. I didn't really do this and didn't really do that. But after watching the amount of fights, I mean, you've watched, I've watched, you kind of get a feeling at times for where people's energy is and where their head's at. And it didn't necessarily feel like he was coming back to win this one. It just said like he was saying all the right things, massively saying all the right things. And when you look at the performance he put in, he literally smashed Stipe for 3 rounds.
Yep. Yeah, he was 3-0.
Yeah, and just got caught. And obviously, Stipe, you don't mess with it because he's always dangerous. But if that wasn't a good camp and you're trying to convince yourself that, then you look fucking amazing. It was only like the last little bit that you kind of dropped off. Yeah. And I didn't get that vibe from him or that urgency that you see in the Jones fights. Yeah. Or in his other fights. Like, I know he took the Derek Lewis fight, which was kind of one of them where, well, fuck it. I'll take it. It's like the same as when he
even said, I knew Derek was easy. Because Derek said, Derek famously said a day before we got offered that fight, I don't want a title fight. I'm not ready for a title fight. And then they offered him one. He goes, well, I can't turn it down, but I'm not going to. And he said, I'm not going to win it. And he said, I'm probably not going to win. And he was fine with that. He was like, okay, I'll fight him.
It's the same when Cormier fought Silva. If you remember,
200, UFC 200. Yeah.
So UFC 200, DC was meant to fight Jones. That fell through. But then the media was all reporting that DC's losing half his money, so he's only going to get this much, which was kind of a massive kick in the tits when you think about it. He's done nothing wrong. He stayed in it, and then he had to fight a legend that he completely nullified. But it was on the main card. Was it co-main? He just sent he sent fuming, and I don't know if it was like an adrenaline dump from you. If you're fighting John Jones, you've got to be anxious the whole time to not know what the fuck's going to happen. You don't know if they're going to turn up, when they're going to turn up, what's going to happen, when he's going to get popped. And
it's not if, it's when.
And that's not even a dig at John. That was what consistently happened with his fight career, and unfortunately, it kind of took away from what he'd achieved. So DC always seemed motivated to come back and be ready for John Jones, and he had a point to prove. Whereas with Stipe, I don't know, he just got big brothered. He got completely big brothered in the last one, where like it's like, I don't know if you've got siblings, but I've got little brothers, and you fuck with them long enough that you lull them into a false sense of security that they're fucking, and then before you know it, they drop into a guillotine or into a triangle or something. They're like, oh, okay, you're still the best. And it's like, I know, I'm bigger than you, I'm better than you. Don't come back again.
Older sister, she never knew how to triangle anyone.
Oh mate, my older sister had a right hook on her. She put me through a door.
Mine did until I got big.
I got a bit, yeah. It was only the day that I got bigger than her that she turned around to me and went, "You got bigger than me." Then we had a fight, and then that was probably the last fight because I was then just trying to test the water. Because probably a year before that, she'd thrown a brick at my mum's house. It's in a small little village, and the garden was really long and backed onto fields, and there was a stone wall, big stone wall that had like a, I don't know, 10-foot drop. So as a kid, we used to jump off, play in the field, come back, make a den or whatever, and come back. And she was with the neighbours' kids, and there was 2 or 3 of them next door. I was with my cousins and a friend. We all dropped into the field, and they stopped and started giving us some abuse. And she literally started throwing stuff at us, like throwing whatever this wall was breaking into bits, and there was bricks and just other shit at the bottom of the garden. And she launched this stuff, and I went up to go and grab some bits to throw back. Obviously, I needed some ammo. And I grabbed out of my name, and I looked up, and this brick hit me here, straight in the corner. It nearly blinded me. And yeah, so she always had the upper hand after that, because obviously she threw a fucking brick at my head. So it's only when I got a bit bigger. Yeah. Oh yeah, remember that time? I do remember. I got a scarf on there. But yeah, I had to assert my dominance when I got a bit bigger. When I think I got to about 14, and I was a bit taller than her, and we had a fight. We had a fist fight, and that was it. Ever since. Bless her.
I remember the time I did it. Yeah. Don't mess with mine. She's tall, 5'11".
Really?
Yeah, she's only an inch shorter than me. Got tall jeans.
Dude, that's it. Get her into Muay Thai, man. Another Tom.
No. She's a delicate girl. No, she's a girly girl. She wouldn't do Muay Thai. That's me. That's my mum getting me get my shit kicked at school, and then she puts me in a Muay Thai class.
That's it.
Go fuck them up, Lou.
Yeah. Listen,
yeah.
I don't mind it.
And you go through school think you're the anorexic-looking skinny guy with like stretch marks, and then everyone goes, "Do you do UFC?"
Yeah.
And you have to go, "No, what? I don't do a TV show. No, no."
It's always, I mean, the hoist thing has always been good for me because I've always been small, and it's just good. Like just grabbing someone and just like once you're on the ground, you're the same size, and that's the beauty. I had a guy. I worked in a bank, and it was an internet bank. It was massive. The place was like an aircraft hangar. You had north wing and south wing. I'm in my wing, and I was a trainer. So basically, if you came to work for us and needed to learn about credit cards and savings and all the rest of it, I would be training you how to do that, or I'd be floor walking on the floor. So if you got a call, I'd be helping you get through the systems. I used to make games. So being creative, I would get flip chart paper and I'd stick like 20 pieces of flip chart together, and I made a Monopoly board. And it was called
I like this already.
Giant Massive Owenopoly, because my name's Owen. There I am. I made this massive thing, and then I had a dice that was like I got it out of the canteen. It was what they had, a box of crisps, potato chips in, and basically we wrapped it up, made it a dice. So I made it square. Obviously, it wasn't a fucking oblong. So the people, when they got a sale on the phones, would roll the dice, and you'd move along, and you'd win beers or an Xbox or whatever it was. So I had this whole thing laid out, and I was the only person at Egg that wore tap out. So there's a couple of people. I used to import tap out just because I wanted to. Before it was shit, and I wanted to be wearing it. Yeah. So I literally had this thing laid out on the floor, and this guy came up, and where I had almost what you'd win if you landed there, or like different names for places, he just started moving them. And because my OCD, because being a designer, it can't be like a pixel out or anything. It's got to be perfect. So I've lined it all up, and he kept fucking with it. So he was knocking it off the angle. So I said, dude, don't do that. And so he's giggling and thinking it was funny, carried on doing it. So I ankle picked him and rear naked choked him out unconscious in the middle of this bank.
Holy shit.
It wasn't on purpose. I didn't mean to, but because he wasn't expecting anything, he just sort of fell like a sack of shit into a cradle. I just wrapped him up. And it was like one of the only times that other people sort of sat back and just slowly moved their chairs away. And I was like, I'm not an aggro dude. I'm not professional.
No, honestly. They're running away.
A couple of weeks ago, but if I say don't fuck with my stuff, please don't fuck with my stuff. And he literally woke up and he was like, what did you do? And he'd been taking the piss weeks before that I like cuddling. Because he'd see tap out. He's like, what's that?
Yeah.
I told him what he was like, oh, you like doing all that cuddling? All that stuff on the floor, cuddling. I was like, I'll show you cuddling if you want. And he's like, no, I don't want to do it. And it was only when he obviously fucked with me a bit too much that I turned him off. But, yeah, I kept my job, luckily. I kept my job.
Yeah, I was fortunate to do that.
Oh, yeah. I had to tell him, you don't want that to happen again, do you? Please don't sack me.
It's not so bad being turned off for a choke. No, or blood choke, anyway. Not so bad.
It's the first time you sat in jits and someone will say, right, we're going to apply a rear naked choke and you're going to see a tunnel and it's going to close. And you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. I think I can get that. And then when someone puts it on, you're like, whoa. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want that anymore.
It's instant. It's so instant. I did it to my mate. Collar choked him. And my mate is a purple belt. He's fucking brilliant. 6'5", big dude. And he was going easy on me. And we're just having a play roll, like a flow roll. And I get a collar and I leave the gap open for half guard and let him, want him to slide through. He slides through and he just starts. And then I let go and he falls on me. And I go, oh shit. And everyone's looking and Ali just wakes up going, did I not tap?
That's the thing.
Because he went out for like half a second, so he woke up pretty instant.
Yeah.
But he went out.
Yeah, in that whole second, you had a full dream of being like, oh, this is all right. I pissed myself.
Yeah, it's happened to me as well. You just wake up looking at the ceiling fans like, what? Daydream.
Yeah, that's happened more often than not.
Better than being hit. It's better than being hit.
Yeah, it's not nice. No. So what do you reckon is going to happen with Cormier then? Do you reckon he's going to replicate that first fight? Do you reckon he's going to have the conditioning for the second fight?
I think it'll be more like the second fight. Personally, I think Stipe will be a fool not to test his body straight away, see if he's corrected those holes in his game. Because I think Dan said it in one of his things to bring his thing up again, where I was thinking it as well. When Anderson hit him at 200 in the gut for the front kick, Cormier went, oh crap, and it hurt him, really hurt him. He's never been hit in the stomach. He's never been hit in the body at all. And when Stipe exposed it with that hook and hit him with, I don't know how many hooks it was over 10 in that round.
Way more, yeah.
Crumpled him. I think he would be a fool not to go. I think Daniel would be expecting it, but I think it'd be silly not to test it and say, all right, can you defend this straight away? Because I know that crumbles you. And that is your ultimate, that's your kryptonite, is your body now.
Do you not think though, that Stipe is, Cormier is completely, that's his complete game plan? Because that he knows Stipe is going to go to that well. And all he's going to be doing is looking for a counter.
Yeah,
he's going to be looking for because.
But has he fixed it that quick?
But the thing is,
one camp to fix that whole problem of body shot instead of working on everything else. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
and there were so many body shots, and not one of them dropped him, but there was enough that he could have been caught with something.
Yeah, if he mixes it up instead of just throwing one, if he combinations it with something else. I think he should stick to moving more as well, Stipe, because he likes getting in the firefight. He started trading with him when Daniel does the neck clinch, and he does it. He did it on Gus. Gus is up here. He held him up here and started hitting him.
Mate, you imagine the grip on that guy.
Yeah, it's scary. I think Stipe's got to move more, kick him, slow him down, because Daniel's going to want to trade because he believes in his boxing. He's knocked plenty of people out, and he's picked Stipe up as well. So if he's in close, you know he's going to latch onto a leg and try and make this an MMA fight instead. I don't think Stipe has the advantage on the floor, on the mats. I really don't. Even though he's a good wrestler himself, I don't think he's Daniel level. Even at Daniel 41 years old, I still think he can pick him up and slam him whenever he pretty much wants.
Well, if you take the first fight and consider it a round, and the second fight, the first 3 rounds of that, it's all DC.
All DC.
And all DC's, he's kind of a maniac when it comes to breaking stuff down and working out in his head. And I think it'd be hard to see him not analyze everything that has had happened to him, because the first 3 rounds that he was winning, he was still getting hit, but that was what was setting up to the 4th. And I think DC he'd be absolutely crazy to miss that, and I don't think he will. I think he'll capitalize on it. Part of me from one interview feels that he doesn't seem completely motivated. He just seems like he's saying the right things to get out there.
Yeah.
But then another part of me knows what DC is capable of and what he's done in the past, and ultimately what he has to do to win this belt and basically just close book for
off. Yeah.
Yeah, so
he's going to be working his arse off for this last one. It's his last ever time he's going to be in the gym.
I hope so. But
yeah, I hope so as well.
I don't know how much pressure. I mean, I'd like to see Stipe win, because I like Stipe as a dude. He reminds me a lot of me. Not Bill.
He don't get the credit, does he, either?
No, and he's just a cool dude. If you ever watch any of the countdown shows, he's literally out buying air rifles and Lego just because he can. Because and not telling his wife what he's doing. He's a proper sound dude. Yeah, exactly. And I kind of love that. And I always felt gutted that I missed the opportunity to get to meet him because I was Team Stefan. And
I see.
Him and Stefan are good friends, but obviously at the fighter hotel, it wasn't like you'd hang out with these guys for a week and then go over to his opponent and go, "Excuse me, can I have a picture, please, mister?" Because it doesn't happen that way.
Get the fuck away from me.
Exactly. You've been driving them guys about, maybe. So it was one of them, but I've always respected him, and I've always liked what he's achieved, because the fact he's a fireman, the fact that he's still doing that, and that he's an absolute savage athlete. After he lost to Stefan, he seemed to put a bit of bulk on and he just seemed bigger and more, I don't know, just more solid.
Chip on his shoulder as well. Got all right. Lost to Stefan. Let's fuck everyone else up now.
Yeah, and the nice thing was that he did that. So I think it's a pick'em.
Statistically, he's the most successful heavyweight in history. Statistically,
but can you go against Cormier, against anyone other than Jones normally? Not really. It's only Stipe that's had a word, isn't it? And obviously that came after. Well, DC obviously caught him with a big one-punch knockout the first time.
Off the clinch,
Was he putting too much into every punch after that in the first 3 rounds of the second fight, because he knows Stipe's got a button on the side of his head?
Yeah.
I mean, so is that what exhausted? Or did he overlook him? Did he just think, "Oh, I'm going to fuck this guy up"? And then it just got to the 4th round and Stipe then just started putting stuff together. And it wasn't just the fact that he was managing to hit him, he was taking away his gas tank.
Yeah.
I'm just worried that I see Stipe go back to that and leave himself completely open, because he doesn't have a massive guard all the time.
No.
He seems to take way too many shots.
And he also seems to give up on, maybe not the full game plan, but at least the movement side of it. In the first, you're watching the first half of the round, he's moving laterally, he's moving well, he's cutting the cage off, as you should do, against someone that's marching forward with a full defense block. And then after that, as soon as he gets hit once, he wants revenge. He's like, "Right, I've got to tag you back now." And then he becomes the enforcer, but that's not his style. He's not the enforcer. When all his knockouts, like Verdun running at him, he's on the back foot, hits him short punch. It's all coming off the back. It's all using movement. I think he has to leg kick and move against DC.
But with someone like Verdun, he had time to think a bit. Sorry, dude. He had time to think a little bit. I know he was running at him, but it was almost, he was using his slick boxing to punch him. And I don't think he intended to knock him out, but he was laser precise. Whereas with someone like DC, he just doesn't stop. He's just on you. Like, look at Rumble Johnson. You'd like to think Rumble's going to knock out DC, pretty much. But he just was tenacious. He would not give up on any element of any part of that fight. And Johnson was just exhausted. And Stipe, I mean, when was the last time Stipe fought? When they last fought, right?
Yeah, that is the last time.
Not fought since then. When DC's not fought again, has he?
No.
I don't think he has he?
No, it was Stipe 1, Derek Lewis, Stipe 2, now it'll be Stipe 3. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's nullified. The fact that amount of time they've had off. I mean, the fact that Stipe's a little bit younger. I mean, Cormier, it was a big old finish. the last time. He got smashed in punches to the head 5 or 6 times. I don't know. Who are you going for?
Head and heart.
Yeah, go on.
I want Cormier to win and ride off into the sunset.
Really?
Because otherwise, Cormier is always the second best in both divisions.
I think that's happened anyway.
You think? If he knocks out Stipe and walks off, I think he could be. You could put him in the argument for the greatest heavyweight because he's beaten on paper statistically the greatest twice. Yeah. And especially if he finishes it. If not, he's just the guy that was always second in 2 divisions, and I feel really bad because he's so much better than that. It's just he was in the era of Jones. It's like a lot of people in the era of GSP. If Carlos Condit wasn't in the era of GSP, he would have been a Rory McDonald, exactly.
Yeah,
Dan, let's put Dan in there as a fanboy.
Well, yeah, Dan will sit in there because obviously you fought him. But I
kind of rubber arms.
I don't know. With DC, I think to me, one of his greatest achievements was Fedor and the Strikeforce Grand Prix. Because no one expected anything. And he came out in them crazy little green shorts and just fucked everyone up. And that, for me, was one of the most impressive, more than anything.
Yeah.
The fact when he came over to the UFC that he strung a load of wins together. I mean, the whole Jones-DC thing kind of dilutes it a bit because it's a weird thing because DC is almost holier than thou to a point, whereas Jones is just... he's like one of them guys that is your friend and he's done something wrong. And you're like, dude, you're telling me the truth, right? I've got you back. You're telling me the truth. They're like, yeah, I'm telling you the truth. And then like, you're talking to the police to have their back to go, yeah, no, he's with me the whole time. And then they show you a photo of him, I don't know, running over.
Yeah, he actually lied to you.
Fuck, man. Like, and you still can't be mad with him because then you turn to DC and you sort of start going, well, I told you so. And you're like, I don't like that goody two-shoes. I like a bit of villain. I like a little bit of like, if we had when DC and Jones were on camera or on voice afterwards, and he's like, I'm going to fucking kill you. And it's like, you fucking fly. That's what I want to see. I want to see that aggro. And I know for someone like DC, who's a family man, he's obviously representing his family, his children, and everything. And I appreciate what he's trying to put out there so that he's remembered. Is different to how he feels, but I'd love to have a pint with him. Just to be like, all right, give me the fucking skinny. What do you think about this prick? And him just going ham on, and it's safe. There's no like repercussion, but I want to know exactly where he feels because I know he thinks he's better than Stipe.
Yeah,
I think something like that motivates Stipe, and I think when he didn't have his belt, it happens to a lot of.
There's a reason Stipe didn't want to fight anybody else for that long. He's only his last 3 fights at DC.
Yeah,
there's a reason for that. He's angry. He knows he can fuck him up.
But I don't think Cormier can take the greatest heavyweight ever from beating him and then retire.
You don't? No, I'm not saying he takes it. I'm saying it's just a conversation. He's remembered as maybe he's this instead of he's not. It's just completely wrong.
It's almost not like a pound for pound thing or a ranking thing. He's just known as one of the anomalies that you didn't expect to be this incredible, but his achievements are amazing. Yeah. So it's not even like he's second to Jones, because what he's done that Jones hasn't done is been dancing in and out of heavyweight, always hit weight, never had a problem with drugs. So if you give it 10 more years when John Jones isn't even a thing, because I mean, you just said GSP, there's going to be some people that don't even consider GSP a fighter. They don't even know who the fuck that guy is. And he was an absolute savage for so long and one of the best ever.
Yeah.
So
they remember him as decision GSP instead of armbarring Hughes.
Exactly. But it's going to be like they all have to go to rest at some point. They all have to we move on to the next era all the time. And once the Jones era is sort of settled, the DC era is settled, and all the rest of it, I think people getting into the sport looking for big upsets, flash knockouts. I think DC's cream will rise in the future when there's not a narrative to have, are you Jones or DC? I think currently it's not ever going to be that he wins any popularity contest because unfortunately he's too nice. Do you know what I mean? Whereas you've got Jones who's the bad boy and he's like,
The amount of people that still like John Jones over DC, I don't like John Jones.
At all?
Not really.
As a fighter, have you met John?
No, the amount of fighters I've met is quite minimal,
Okay.
especially of that like caliber. I'm more I meet Cage Warriors people, not the UFC people.
Yeah,
so, but he comes off nice, but then he's not a nice. You don't do what he's done if you're a genuine person. That's what I can't believe it.
I think
I don't even like watching him fight that much, to be honest. I used to, but I think he's quite tame now. Yeah. Since Vince, I mean, the Gus fight was a throwback. I'll give him that one. Yeah. The rematch on Gus. He stamped his ground on that. Like, I fuck you up now. Yeah. It was a fluke the first time. But other than that, he's quite tame. He's quite not boring. That's the wrong word to use when it's that high level chess.
Calculated and reserved to the point
where it's just it disinterests me when his personality isn't anything I can connect to. Yeah. DC, I can kind of connect to him as I like this bloke. He's a nice guy. I want to see him succeed. Yes, he's not the most flavoursome, as it were. Yeah, like he hasn't got the controversy to it.
The rawness. But I think
I prefer DC.
One of the reasons why I love MMA is because you see behind the curtain constantly.
Yeah.
Like if a fighter's upset Dana, he'll come and tell you exactly what he's fucking done. Like there was the Caleb Starnes fight where Caleb Starnes was fighting. He fell out with his corner during the fight against Nate Quarry. It was like the real weird fucking...
Oh, yeah.
Weird, yeah, so that was back in the day, and I was desperate to know what he said. And Joe Rogan pretty much verbatim said what he said to his corner and what they said back. Because you're always... Anything is available. Nothing's off the record. Like, you've got people like, I don't know, fucking F1 where their opinions are hidden and manipulated, or football where it's like, can't wear this, you can't say that, you can't, like these guys just go out and do whatever.
They're camera trained to say specific generic things.
Yeah. Whereas in the fight game, it doesn't happen. So the issue to me is sometimes like you get a bit too much of John Jones, of where he has completely fucked up. Yeah. But then you get, whereas the DC side of things, where he's far too clever and smart, and I just want to see a little bit more of his realness, because he's almost like, when you meet people, like, oh, it's really nice to meet you. It's like, no worries. And you go and see them 10 minutes later, and they're like, "Oh, it's really nice to meet you." It's like, we've had a chat for 10 minutes, bro. Like we've been talking. They're like, "Oh yeah." And because it's now second nature to be that character in that performance, you don't ever see what the real thing is, and it doesn't matter to anyone else. I just like to see what someone really fucking thinks. Yeah. And the amount of times I've met John, he's always been sound as fuck, and to the point where. It's not even been, it's been like off the record talk where he's just been chilling and having a chat with you, and it feels genuine. It doesn't feel like he's trying to remember what the fuck like the storyline or whatever it is. Because we met him at Body Power and we had a good chat. And then I saw him a few months later in Vegas with his manager, Abe. And instantly we were straight back, and I would say, "Oh, how did you get on with such and such?" Because we had another thing that was happening the next week, and he remembered that. To me, that's a homely thing. That's a nice thing, because it's like if you remember and stuff. So I think, unfortunately, what's happened is it's the whole Drew Barrymore fucking Hollywood kids being thrown into this thing, and then being like, "You've got everything in the world, plus whatever else you want, and everything else you need," and it's like his excess and. We don't deal well with excess.
Plus, I do forget his age when he got to the title. He's only, 31 now? I guess I got to imagine what I would be like with 100 million quid or 50, whatever he's got. Millions and millions and millions. 100 grand, let's go like that. That, I would be like, oh, and I'd be arrested. I'd be whatever. So,
but to have what you have and then be like, I keep getting caught driving when I shouldn't be. Like my thing would be, I've got a friend that would do this for £100 a week. Just drive me around. I'm going to ring you at some point. I'm going to need you to drive me to the off license. Yeah. No fucking problem. That's a no-brainer. But the problem is when you're put on this pedestal and everyone's telling you the best, and like I say, this isn't justifying any of his actions, because he's broke my heart as many times as anyone else.
No, it's just saying it's not all what it appears. Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I think my personal opinion is it's a lot to fucking deal with. Look at how Conor reacted. He didn't react the best. Ronda didn't react. Like this, when your world explodes that way, and then people start recognizing you, it's even when I do the podcast with Dan, I mean, you've got the greatest analyst in the world and me, and I'm stood
I really was hoping you'd say the greatest analyst in the world and Dan. You missed the trick there. Yeah.
So with that, I'm talking about, I don't know, fucking going to the chippy and nearly shitting my pants on a walk with the dogs. But that's because that's what me and him talk about.
Yeah.
But then you get some people in the comments that are like, I fucking hate this guy. He's a fucking dick. And then like there's 4 or 5 comments just rolling in. I'm like, cool. And I reply. I'm like, thanks a lot, dude. Nice one. I hope to meet you one day. I don't know. Fucking nice stuff. But they're just absolutely just going ape shit. And you think that's on the smallest scale.
Yeah.
That I've got someone that I don't know trying to interact with me, basically telling me who I am and what I am without even knowing me.
Yeah.
And when you've got the other side of things where you've got millions of people, celebrities, just being like, you're a prick. You go, why now? And it's, do you know what I mean? I think, unfortunately, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because you get to see all of John's antics, but then unfortunately, it sways your opinion when you see him as a professional fighter, and then you see all his antics again, and how his actions have affected DC, and DC hasn't been caught in an absolute tirade rant of how shit this guy is, because a lot of it comes down to what's right and what's wrong. So if you grow up with a little brother and he keeps going out and driving over hookers and pregnant women and fucking doing drugs and comes back, but because he got a good grade, it's all right. And then you literally did something wrong and you grounded. You're like, that's not fair. That's just not fair. I think sometimes...
That on a global scale.
Yeah, well, he gets caught up in that because he's like, why do you hate me? This, and he almost sounds like a petulant child going, he did this, and he did this, and he did this, and he did this. I've just donated half my purse to charity, and you think I'm a prick. And it's like, well, yeah, because John's cool, and you're not.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is true. That only now have people started turning the corner on DC's all right. When they were fighting, they fucking hated him. For some... I never got why, because I liked the nice guys. I do. I also liked his fighting style a little more. But that was just, I don't like dislike John, I guess, but I can't connect to him, so I'm just not interested. That's all it is. Yeah. You can't exactly say it without knowing them, as you say, Maybe a bit too full, but... Yeah,
but I
never meet these people, though. I'm never going to meet John Jones.
I think my thing sometimes is trying to fill in the blanks a bit, because I can't even say I know John Jones. I've met him a few times. Yeah. When I have met him, he's either been enough in character or whatever. So there's a lot of ways to look at it. But what I have taken from it is he's always been sound with me. And the fact that he remembered a previous interaction, which was a long time ago, was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I think what's always impressed me has been, John Jones is a natural athlete. He is naturally talented. I'm not saying he's not put leg in, he's not put time in, but he's got absolute skill. And the fact that what he's achieved with that is kind of expected. Do you know what I mean? You know, when you look at the previous long reigning champ like Chuck, his build and his style and his shape compared to John, he's like a caveman evolving.
It is.
Because you've got like Lyoto Machida, you've got Shogun Hua, you've got Rashad and Rampage in between Chuck and John. And then it's sort of almost been put into this absolute perfect pinnacle. I know his legs are a bit skinny, that's why he's called Bones. But the rest of him...
Is that actually the reason?
Yeah, the reason he's called Bones is he's got skinny legs.
Got really skinny calves,
Yeah. So when you look at someone like DC, you're not expecting to achieve fuck all. Because it is a bit like the Roy Nelson thing that you look at him and you go, what are you going to do?
Should you be in a lower weight class? Yeah. But he's a tank, isn't he? Yeah.
Exactly. But his resume is superb. And genuinely, like his Strike Force, whatever he did in Strike Force at the time, because it was kind of the dumping ground for the UFC heavyweight. And it's when Strike Force was still respected because it had enough of the UFC names in it that you could get on board. So you've got a little bit of Orlovsky, Josh Barnett, all these guys that you've seen previously and loved. And the fact that he was a no-name, not coming from UFC, and rolled in there and just
smash him,
cleared house. You're like, holy fucking shit, this guy's got something. And obviously, after the Gus stuff and the John Jones stuff, I genuinely feel in a few years' time, it's going to be, there's going to be people that are showing their kids the Conor journey, as far as this is him, skinny-faced kid, no beard, with his really squeaky voice, saying he's going to be in the UFC, moving forward through his highlights, and then him getting the 2 belts. And Like he's up and down. I think DC's going to be an easy one to write as well. Like Bisping, it's an easy story because you've got all the footage. Because essentially, it's been in our own backyard. But then when you put that together and watch it as a mini documentary or a film, you're like, do you know what? It's undeniable what he's doing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's some fighters that you levitate to and gravitate to, and there's some that you don't.
I think that's what it is. I want him to get the recognition he actually deserves, because he has. I know he's got insane recognition. He's only lost bloody twice. I mean,
that's what we talk about.
Three. Do you count the no contest as a loss? The John Jones head kick. It's like, okay, so he's lost twice. Jones and Stipe and Jones beating him. They're the only people that have ever beaten him.
The fight before that, or the fight before the DQ he was getting lit up. He was getting pieced up. I think because whenever you mention DC, your instant thought is, oh yeah, never beat Jones, and that's because we're still in that era, and that's
it's annoying, isn't it? So you're saying until we leave, until they're both retired, you won't really be able to, or maybe not even both, just a couple years time.
Yeah, if you were introducing your kids to it, or even grandkids or whatever down the line, or if it's someone that I've got a number of cards that I'll give people to go and watch. So when people are like they're getting into it or they're interested, I'll say I've got a few vintage cards, I've got a few current cards, and I've just got fighters that if you don't know who the Axe Murderer is, you probably shouldn't even start looking. Do you know what I mean? Because like watch him against Brian Stan, or Faber against. Not Faber against Lieben, Vanderlei against Chris Lieben, stuff like that, where massive highs, massive lows. But I think that DC will be he'll make a core like must watch in the future, and I think his retirement will be celebrated way more than his fight career.
Okay, that's a good way of putting it.
It's like, but I still want to see Stipe win.
You want to see Stipe win?
Yeah.
Does he retire after the fight? Do you reckon?
I'd like him to, because he just sounds so bad. He sounds like he's taking too many punches.
I need subtitles when he's interviewed. It is hard. Just the gravel, isn't it? The gravel throat with his speech. He's a lovely bloke though, and you want him to do. You don't want to get like if he beats Daniel, you're beating. Okay, light heavyweight champion moving up. The only other person to beat him is John. He is one of the greatest. If you have a top 10 GOAT list. Might put Daniel in it.
Yeah.
He's got 2 wins over him. What more can you beat? Do you want to face all these studs now? Do you want to face Ngannou again? Because that's going to happen. Do you want to face Derek Lewis? Do you want to face Rozenstruik?
Yeah. And in the current climate, people remember who's in the current climate. So Ngannou's a massive knockout puncher, right? And he's massively remembered because he keeps doing it. But you know, when you go back a little bit, there was a guy called Houston Alexander. And he was built like an experiment. And he came in and he fucking murked Keith Jardine. Like,
he grabbed him by the neck, didn't he?
Yeah, and fucking iced him.
Yeah.
He did it a couple of times, looked good. But then he lost to James Irvin in like a 5-second Superman punch.
Kimbo?
And lost to Kimbo. But the problem is he's not in anyone's fucking narrative anymore. No one even fucking thinks about him. And the difference being Ngannou, he still keeps coming out, and I know he had his Kimbo fight with Derek Lewis, which was a bit standoffish.
You write that one off, yeah.
But the fact that DC didn't destroy him, so there's Derek Lewis in the playground pick, and it's like, right, justify your legacy, Derek Lewis or Ngannou. That's not justifying your legacy against Derek Lewis. And even Derek Lewis, he stood there going, "Don't pick me.
Yeah,
I'm trying to do this." And Ngannou's chomping at the bit. And the thing is, DC could have smashed him, could have taken him down, could have fucked him up, could have completely dominated him. But he didn't. That never happened. And the problem is, if DC was to win this and retire and say Stipe retires, Ngannou, it'd probably be Ngannou against Overeem or something like that. I don't know. I can't really think.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, if Blades fights Lewis next, then it'll be Ngannou versus empty space. Yeah. Vacant time.
But because DC's not doing that, and because that's in our current climate that we're thinking, oh, he retired, but he didn't fight. Fucking Ngannou. Then you retire. Yeah, you retire, but you weren't the best ever. And I think, unfortunately, that's what's derogatory towards his because people know he's finished. He's done. Whatever he does, he's done. But it's interesting. I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm excited. I don't know. I just want to see what Stipe comes out like. If within the first 2 or 3 minutes his head's been knocked back 2 or 3 times.
You know, it's DC's fight to lose.
Yeah. And I genuinely feel every time they come together, it's DC's fight to lose.
Yeah. I mean, he's won all but 2 minutes of both fights, essentially. Yeah. That's pretty much it. And the only thing keeping Stipe in for me is if they offer him a fight with Jones at heavyweight. That's all I can think of. That's the only way I can think Stipe doesn't retire. He's got a job he likes. He's a family person, isn't he? Why would you stay around once you've done everything?
No.
He holds the record for the most title defenses still. That won't be broken for a while. 3 is a lot for a heavyweight.
I don't think he ends up in many people's MMA Mount Rushmore, though. I don't think...
I did a UFC Mount Rushmore video a few days ago. And I uploaded that. And I was so ready to put him in it.
Who ended up in that? Or do I need to watch it? Is that a teaser for go and watch it?
You can watch it if you want. But I tell you, it's Royce, obviously.
Okay.
You've got to have Royce in your Mount Rushmore. And I say in the video, if you don't, you're wrong. It's not an opinion. Yeah. You have to have Royce in there. All the rest you can compare. I had a rule: you cannot have been popped for anything, so it ruled off Anderson and John. I just can't do it. I can't be a hypocrite for it. And Royce did get popped, but it was not in his era. Like that was a jiu-jitsu fight or whatever it was. Amanda, I had her in it. Just from I was debating Amanda or Ronda because it was Mount Rushmore isn't about the greatest fight; it's about the impact, isn't it? So. Yeah.
And she carved a path. I mean...
Ronda brought women into MMA, but Amanda's taken that torch and battered everybody. And
she performed better, but the impact is more Ronda because even when Amanda had won the belt and defended it, Dana was saying... Someone said to Dana, who's next for her? And he was like, maybe let her defend the belt once. And they were like...
she had,
just fucking has, dude. So I think as much... I know you can have a heavy night, you can have a late night, you can forget. That always sticks in my brain. And I think unfortunately, what comes with what Ronda carved out as a path came her on-screen persona, which is kind of weird. It's sometimes when someone gets, they try and put too much into a character and you think, well, that's weird. Whereas I know she's actually meant to be a really nice person, but sometimes you got to put your work hat on, haven't you? And that's it. But go on then. So you had Amanda, not Ronda, and Royce.
I had Royce, GSP, because he is my greatest of all time.
Yeah.
George is my best. That's a big debate as well. Based on, did he roid up? Because he looks like Hercules in his early days. And I was
just because he didn't pop. It's hard to know.
It's hard to know. And then the 4th spot, which is the tricky one, which was between like Stipe, and I put Conor on it, based on the full audience he brought into the. Like, if you think of the most impactful people, just without even like thinking about too much, if you think UFC, who do you think of? And that's how I kind of thought of it. Yeah. I think of Conor. Annoyingly, I think of McGregor. So I was like, he's got to go on.
They're the breaks, aren't they? So they're the Ronda break, the Conor break, the...
It's different eras, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Women, the whole... you have to represent that, what it's become now as well, because she is a monster. The way she dealt with Cyborg, who she's one bad day from being a bloke. It's just so
terrifying.
She just smashed her in a minute.
I don't know if I'd have put Royce on just because.
Really?
You're wrong. I probably am wrong, but I think because it was a completely different time and sport to a degree that the Gracies were proving a point that was tripping people up. It wasn't necessarily about, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from what he's done or what he's achieved or anything else, but this was like going into a fight with a secret weapon. And
it was, that's a good way of putting it.
Exactly.
He knew.
Yeah, well, you're going up against Art Jimmerson with one glove, or you're going against Ken Shamrock, who's aggro and got aggression and cardio and roids and all the rest of it.
Gordo didn't know it. Yeah.
Now I'm going to turn you off. So because that trick soon got quite apparent, that when Royce came back to fight Matt Hughes, and I know it was an exhibition fight, and I know it was a fucking...
Was that 50? UFC 50?
UFC 50 or 60, 51 or...
Catchweight fight, wasn't it? Yeah.
And he came in and he had that, this is my house on his tee and everything. And Matt Hughes was at the time was the fucking man. And he just got completely outclassed. And obviously since then, I know he's made the most of being the face and all the rest of it. And I completely can appreciate what that must have been like. But it was more a sneaky little thing that they were like, well, let's fucking show him on the biggest stage that this little guy can do that. But he didn't personally evolve through the sport. He did was it the first 4 or 5? And they retired him out.
3, missed 4, I think. 5.
Yeah. So
I think that was it, yeah. Because Dan Severn won that one, I think.
Yeah. So when I look at the Rushmore because it's what's one person started, because was it Art Davey that founded the UFC?
Yeah.
He wouldn't be in Mount Rushmore because he was basically in a time and a place that had the opinion of like, I wonder who'd win out of them two. Like, Dana White's massively got a place there because...
Yeah, you could put Dana on it, to be fair. It's not just fighters.
Part of his soul. This is part of everything that he's done, and he's constantly defended and promoted and done everything else. So he was constantly evolving. So just as Art Davey founded it, doesn't mean that he should be on Mount Rushmore. Same as Hoist, because I think Hoist has got a fantastic legacy that is that early days under the counter, no one knows about what's going off sort of era, whereas the development and the change in MMA, which has brought forward insane fighters, like even people like Cowboy, the Diaz brothers, all these people that are massive fan favorites. Like you got Lee Murray. Lee Murray from England had 1 fight in the UFC, and he was
bank robber.
He's in Nick. But
I've heard the stories.
yeah. But the thing is, it's about how they bought an audience and changed the game. And like I say, Conor has to be on there for that reason. Like John wouldn't necessarily be on Mount Rushmore for all of his positives. That he was the youngest UFC champ, that he's defended it this many times, that he's done this, that, and the other. He's fought with a broken toe and blah, blah, blah. But it would be about him overcoming obstacles. Because fortunately, we've got John Jones out of the other end of a loop. We've kind of got him now where we've not really heard about him in the news recently. I know in lockdown he went out and he was shooting a gun or something, but everyone goes a little bit crazy. So he's on that Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man 1 kind of hype where, yeah, you've had your problems, but now you're justifying yourself and you're coming out the other side. Or the Robert Downey Jr. when he was in Sherlock Holmes. You know, when everyone had written him off and he was kind of like, all right, yeah, well, you were a massive actor. And then he won everyone back. I think John's in that sort of world where we can see that again.
Yeah.
Whereas other people, there's so many fighters that unfortunately they sort of drop like where he dropped. Even you mentioned Evan Tanner earlier. Yeah. Evan Tanner was always one of my all-time favorite fighters.
I loved Evan.
And the fact that his brain and he had so many mental issues and he went out into the wilderness and we never saw him again. Yeah. Kind of devastating because the stories that he's got to tell and the impact that he had on the right type of people to build what we now consider modern MMA is from pioneers like that. Like Phil Baroni's, fucking Evan Tanner, even, I don't know, there's just a fucking load of them, but they haven't got the profile that puts them on Mount Rushmore because they're not what we're currently watching. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make. Who would be on yours then? Bear in mind, it wasn't an MMA one, so a lot of people commented Fedor, and I said, watch the video. It's like they're just commenting without fucking realising it's called UFC.
Yeah, I mean, it's always hard to put Fedor up there, isn't it? Because he never went into the UFC. And I mean, look when Pride went. Pride went to the UFC and lost, basically. So it was like an away match, and they came in. Forrest submitted Hua. Yeah. Like Krokop didn't look that good against who's the guy who fought, that Mexican guy? Was it Eddie?
Oh,
he fought Eddie.
Not Eddie Johnson.
Eddie
Johnson's the other guy. I know exactly who you mean. Whatever his face is. Alvaro? No, no.
I'll remember it as soon
as horrible belly on him, I remember.
Yeah. But he only just beat him, then got crow-copped by Gonzaga because I was at that. So Pride sort of came in and like it didn't really do anything. UFC was still the number one, and that's why when I see Fedor,
Sanchez,
Eddie, that's it. It was Eddie, wasn't it? Was it Eddie?
Yeah, Eddie Sanchez, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So I don't know. My Mount Rushmore, if you're not popping, I'd probably have GSP up there.
You can pop if you want. You can have it on there. It's up to you. That was just my rules. I didn't want to be hypocritical and be...
Yeah.
That was my reason for not putting Jones on it. You know, if it's just best fighters, I'd have had DJ on it. If it was Impact, I could have had Forrest Griffin or Stephen Bonner, someone like that on it. Liddell, he was the original Conor, almost just getting the sales,
it's
getting
almost,
the variety.
You can almost go back to that era. You'd be like Matt Hughes, Chuck Liddell, Jens Pulver,
EJ.
And I really struggle, man. And the thing is, people ask me the same thing quite often, and I think it's people who impacted the sport. I mean, for me, I still own 2 Affliction shirts, 2 Affliction GSP shirts that are still upstairs.
Nice.
That I bought
in frames now. Mate, you can sell those and make money, man.
I've got the original, you know, the original Affliction shirt with the 2 skulls that Randy came out to fight Tim Sylvia.
Yes, yeah. Is it like faint purple? Is that horrible?
Black, 2 skulls coming this way.
It's just black, okay.
First ever Affliction shirt. Well, the first ever one that I saw, and it was the first one that was linked to UFC. And my wife bought it me, and I did a website for Randy. Oh, fucking hell. 2000 and how old's Libby? She's 8, so older than me. I think it's about 2001, 2002, whatever it was. And I made it, could have been a bit later, made him this, no, it can't be that, about 2010. I don't know. It was at least 10 years ago. Made him this website book signing, and he came over and we had dinner with him. And I got him to sign it. So I've got an Affliction shirt that Randy wore at UFC 73 or whatever it was against Tim Sylvia. And that's in a drawer somewhere as well. So to be fair, I don't really keep Affliction. So if I've got those 2, I've got to definitely have Randy on there because Randy was my go-to guy. Just because he always looked like an underdog and he always put it together.
So you got GSP, Randy and Conor so far?
I don't think I'd have Conor.
Oh, you wouldn't have Conor?
I don't know.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's genuinely.
Fucking hard to do.
Because the thing is, he brought such a massive audience, and there were times when he was doing and saying all the right things. But then, like I said before, this sport is so wide open that you get to see behind the curtain far too much that your opinion can change about someone because of how they wash their dog. But it doesn't happen in other sports. You know what I mean? There's even like Matt Serra, people like that are still massive pioneers of the sport because he's such an entertaining dude. That's
Matt Brown, if he was in the UFC.
Yeah, Matt Thomas Brown.
Yeah.
Mike Thomas Brown or Matt Brown?
Mike Brown. Mike Brown. Sorry. Yeah, guy beat Faber. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, Mike Brown. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I always remember because on WEC he came up as Mike Thomas Brown, and then obviously there's Matt the Immortal.
Yeah, not Matt the Immortal.
No, but even with people like Sarah, because if it wasn't for him doing what he did and bringing that spotlight, then a GSP wouldn't have come back the way he did and then dominated. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Weidman sticks out just because of how he thrown the king and then carried it through. But
I still cruise on. Not fluke is a strong word. But I just think 16 fight win streak, he's clowning around. He's bored. And then the second fight that was a fluke again, just that leg snap.
It was what Weidman did after that. Because Weidman was unbeaten.
He beat someone that was coming off TRT in Vitor that everyone was smashing once he got that bod.
Yeah.
He beat an out-of-shape Lyoto Machida.
I always saw it. I thought he did
Did you think he did it right? And then he got fucked up by Luke Rockhold. Because he did a wheel kick. A wrestler with a wheel kick. The worst move in MMA history. That was the big...
That could have been a completely different result. Well, a lot of them can be a completely different result. So, I don't know.
And then what he's gone to do after that, five... Yeah,
Well, that's just that chuck chin again, isn't it? It's just the chuck chin. And that's what bothers me because you see someone and these people are completely developing in front of you. And Chuck Liddell is running backwards, smashing every focus. So he's then gone on a revenge tour after the whole Randy and Tito thing. He's gone on a revenge tour. He's fucking smashed everyone. So Renato Babalusa brawl, head kick, beautiful. Then Jeremy Horn, as a word with Jeremy Horn. Jeremy Horn verbally, I can't see because Chuck's just basically enjoying pummeling him.
Yeah.
And it was only when Rampage came and completely took his soul. Like, I'm not being funny. Rampage, then Rashad, and was it Keith Jardine? No,
Keith Jardine leg kicked him for the decision. Yeah, he frustrated him. Yeah,
ugly. So you thought, well, he might.
It was
be
a shit
back.
fight, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was. But then Rashad. So there's Rampage, Keith Jardine, Rashad. Was it Shogun? Rich Franklin.
And then Rich, they ran around and ran onto his elbow. Yeah,
Rich Franklin wasn't known as a knockout artist. I mean, I know he's knocked people out, but not necessarily when it was Chuck Liddell. And yeah, it just kind of breaks your heart a little bit when you see it, because Weidman definitely has got that Chuck chin now. And I don't know, Orlovsky bounced back from it. Orlovsky
I was expecting Weidman to lose and retire. I thought Amari would have had a better gas tank, to be honest, but he didn't really impress me, to be honest, the other fella.
I think it's hard to retire at the minute during this pandemic when you've got no crowd.
Yeah.
I think it's something that you play out in your head, how you know it's going to be or how you feel it's going to be. And obviously there's a lot of atmosphere and energy you take from the audience, a lot of that pop. And if you've finished on a win and you're going to be like, do you know what? That's me done. That's a celebrated environment. Whereas at the minute, your gloves are put in a fucking polythene bag and burnt because they don't know if they've got a virus on it. Do you know what I mean? So,
got a point.
I think, it's not nice. It's tricky. But I honestly, I don't know I honestly don't know what's going to happen after this, because if they do both retire, that's the heavyweight division kind of, it's kind of gone, because the last 3 title fights have been these 2 guys, and it's been flick-flack either way. So
gonna have to get some up-and-comers straight in, like people like Aspinall.
Yeah. There's a lot of
young Frank Mir, isn't it? It's the new Frank Mir. Looks great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You ever met him?
No. Run through picks. So
right, Stipe DC.
I want Stipe to win.
Stipe is. You're going to represent Lloyd on this week.
Okay. Oh shit! Yeah. Sorry, Lloyd. These are all going to be wrong.
Lloyd's losing anyway. Got Suga Sean v Cheeto.
If we want Cheeto for the upset, but okay, if this is for Lloyd,
I know he thinks Sean. I know that.
Yeah, go Sean then. Yeah. We'll go with Lloyd. Sean.
Then you got JDS v Jairzinho.
Yeah, Jairzinho.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And John Dodson versus Merab. It's the final one.
Yeah, John Dodson.
John Dodson. Perfect. Well, pleasure, dude. Thank you.
You just do the top 4.
Well, we don't know what's coming. Yeah, we don't do the prelims.
No worries.
And we don't know what one's being pushed up to the main card now since Cutelaba's been knocked off. So
I'm gutted about that, but
yeah, me too. I hope they find a replacement for Ankalaev. But yeah, appreciate you talking to me, man. It's been really nice.
No worries, dude. Anytime. Hopefully we'll be back on soon, because I know we haven't recorded for a while, so it's been weird talking about fighting properly. Well, into a camera.
Yeah, exactly. Still nice to me as well. You know, actually finally talk to you as well. It's really nice.
No, it's wicked, man. It's been a pleasure.